JT Smith of the TFON podcast here for season 5, episode 6. You guys know that the Bearcats are about to travel to Boulder, Colorado to take on Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes on Saturday at 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time for the people in Mountain Time Zone, right? Y'all in the Mountain Time Zone,
Yeah.
8:15 p.m. It's on ESPN or ESPN2?
ESPN.
All right, good. All right, we just letting it ride. ESPN. So I got special guests with me. I got 2 this time, guys. So 2 special guests from CU Sports Report, Nikki Edwards and Troy Finnegan. Nikki and Troy, how y'all doing today?
Good. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, doing great. Appreciate it.
No problem at all. Thanks for taking your time out today to talk some UC Colorado. Both teams are coming into the game, 5-2, right? 5-2, 2-3-1 in the conference. I think we're twins. So whoever wins on Saturday will have a leg up to have a chance to play in the Big 12 championship. Everybody knows that Utah's kind of struggling. It's kind of good for everybody involved that's winning. Nobody really expected that, but we'll take it. After seeing you guys play against Nebraska, how did you – my question to you is, after that Nebraska, that game where you guys kind of just got manhandled, I feel like coach and I feel like the team has just turned it around. What was it to you? Did you know that the team would turn around like this, or was it kind of like you're just as shocked as people on the outside?
I think it's just been a gradual growth with this team. The Nebraska game was definitely pretty humbling, I would say. It really exposed a lot of tendencies of last year of the offensive line not being up to bar, Shedeur taking a bunch of hits. But this year, and what Robert Livingston, the defensive coordinator, has done, he's really developed a well-rounded defense. The secondary has already been pretty effective with Travis Hunter, of course, DJ McKinney, Preston Hodge, Cameron Sidlin-Craig. There's a few weapons back there, and that's always been sound. But the front of the defense was a question that we had going in because Robert Livingston's background was in the secondary. He was the Bengals safeties coach for 12 years. And now, as we've seen through 7 games, this defensive front is getting better and better. And now they lead the Big 12 in sacks and just had a huge game against Arizona. I think that's the biggest thing in the Nebraska game. The defensive line really dictated that whole game, and they really opened up a lot of holes to get to Shedeur. Shedeur wasn't able to operate in a clean pocket, and that's kind of been the tendency. It depends what the defensive line presents and how Colorado responds to that. But they're coming off a good game against Arizona, where Shedeur only got hit one time, and I think he's racked up 24 sacks this season. So every week is just kind of that up and down of is Shedeur going to be able to do his thing, and what is the offensive line going to get? Because they've been rotating their guards, their right and left guards throughout the season. But last weekend, it kind of paid off. But you would imagine you'd want your 5 starting solidified guys, and that hasn't necessarily been the case this season.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm shocked by them turning it around. I think it was kind of a wait and see kind of thing. The game in Lincoln, it got away from them real quickly. The place was rocking. It was prime time, big rivalry game. CU starts the game with a 3-and-out. They give up a touchdown, and then Shedeur throws the pick 6, and it's 14-0 like that. And the game was kind of it just got away from them from there. But I've been really impressed with the way that they've kind of turned it around. They've been competitive every week. Even the loss to Kansas State was a game that they have come out and said they probably should have won. They feel like they should have won. And kind of like Nikki alluded to, they've played so much better up front on both sides of the ball than they did in Lincoln and last year, and that's really been a big difference for them during this recent stretch.
No, for sure. You guys are kind of in the same boat, so it's crazy. I think 3 wins last year or 4. I think you guys won 4.
4.
Yeah. We won 3. So same. Not exactly the same, but same kind of boat. Y'all just in front of it a little bit more.
Not by that much. Losing
just
out
a little bit. So I'll give you guys respect on that. So you guys have such a high-powered offense with Shedeur leading the charge. How how difficult is it going to be for the Bearcats to slow down this high-power offense? I think you guys are averaging around 32 points a game. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that number. But how are they going to slow these guys down? And who are the guys? I mean, how would you slow them down if you were the person calling the plays per se? I guess I'll word it that way. And then who are the guys? I mean, if people watch ESPN, they're probably no, but still tell Bearcat Nation if they've been sleeping under a rock. Who are the people that the Bearcats better cover, or it's going to be a long day? You guys might get real long-winded on this because I know you got a lot of playmakers on that side of the ball.
I guess I'll go first. Of course, there's a multitude of wide receiver weapons: Will Shepherd, Travis Hunter, of course, Jimmy Horn Jr., and LeJontay Wester. And I feel like LeJontay Wester has been the guy as of recently. He's been scoring most touchdowns, and with Travis being up and down recently, LeJontay Wester has been that primary target. So it's difficult for secondaries to have, eyes on all of these guys. They are able to tear up midfield. They're really good inside. Shador, of course, is a very accurate and consistent quarterback. But if I were UC's defensive coordinator, it's all about applying pressure and really breaking open that offensive line because, as I've said before, every week it's just kind of this inconsistent battle of how is Shador going to, escape this pressure? Is he going to be able to, operate as he should? And every week it's just kind of a toss-up. So if you probably, pressure on the edge and through the middle, if you have guys that are able to get to the quarterback and really, blow up the backfield, then UC has a chance. But as we've seen with Shador, he's he's able to make things work despite what's throwing at him. So it's a matter of what their secondary wants to do, what the coverage kind of looks like. But there's always a chance that Shador is going to move the chains with one of his wide receivers. And most recently, that guy has been LeJontay Wester. Travis Hunter, he went out the second half of Arizona, but in a recent podcast, he said that he's 100% this week. So he should be there, of course, on both sides of the ball. I think, too, what has been a deficiency for Colorado is, of course, their running game. It hasn't been very effective. They just came off a season-high rushing yard game against Arizona because their defensive front is a little bit, lackluster. As I've said before, it's all about what these defensive fronts have been presenting, which allows Colorado to really, really have good games on offenses. We saw it against UCF and against Arizona. It just depends on what kind of day the defensive line wants to have. And I think applying that pressure up front will really allow UC to have that advantage there. But, of course, Shador Sanders is able to make most of the time something out of nothing.
Yeah, the receivers that Nikki mentioned, they complement each other really, really well. Their skill sets go together really well. Jimmy Horn is kind of the speed guy, the deep threat. He's been banged up recently. He had a rough game last week, but he had almost 200 yards in the season opener. So he's capable of a big play at any time. Will Shepherd is kind of the contested catch guy, the big body X receiver that you put on the backside. LeJontay Wester, like Nikki mentioned, has kind of become Shador Sanders' top target without Travis Hunter totally in the mix the last couple weeks. Really good route runner, really good underneath. He's kind of their chain mover. And then Travis Hunter, obviously, if he is indeed healthy, he's the guy that you've got to pay the most attention to. Cincinnati's going to have to rotate coverages his way. One of the best receivers in college football. If you want to attack this CU offense, and this is one thing I don't think Arizona did very well, you have to kind of pick on the offensive line, which did play very, very well last week. I think Shador Sanders was only pressured on 5 dropbacks, 5 out of 36. So that group has taken strides, especially Jordan Seaton's playing really good football at left tackle, the true freshman. But they've had trouble picking up blitzes this year. Teams that blitz a lot, teams that stun a lot, teams that kind of show them a bunch of different looks, a bunch of sim pressures, stuff like that. Baylor is one that sticks out. Dave Aranda does a bunch of funky stuff up front, and CU had a lot of trouble picking them up. And Baylor was kind of able to get them in the mud at times in that game. Arizona plays a lot more base. UCF is another team that's going to play a lot more vanilla 4-man rush. and see you kind of just pick them apart. If you give Shedeur Sanders time in the pocket and you give him, you're not trying to confuse him, you're not changing your looks up, he's going to pick you apart. So trying to confuse the offensive line, trying to confuse the quarterback in the pocket, I think that's the best way to go about it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, they got to put pressure on him. That's just my analysis. If you don't put pressure on Shedeur, then it might be a 40-plus, point night, and we don't want that. Even though the offense is good and can maybe match it, but at the same time, that's not where you want to be on the road. We've been there, just see the Texas Tech game. So, in general, we know Travis Hunter is supposed to be playing. Is there anybody, any big names on offense or defense that may not be playing that, Bearcat fans should, keep tabs on?
I think everyone's healthy.
The big one is Deion Hayes, who he's missed the last couple of games. He's been banged up. CU's edge depth has really stepped up without him in there. He was starting alongside BJ Green, who's been playing some really good football. But Deion Hayes, Pitt transfer. He was one of Pitt's most productive defensive linemen the last couple years. He's been out for a few games. They've been working in a bunch of guys in his place. Samuel Okunlola is another Pitt transfer. He led Pitt in sacks last year. He's been playing well. They've got Keaton Wade from Kentucky. He just came back from a foot injury. He had 2 sacks last week. Tajay McCoy is a redshirt freshman. He's a good pass rusher, but especially in the run game, I think Deion Hayes is probably their second best edge after BJ Green against the run. So having him back would be big. That's really the only big name that they're down right now, though.
Yeah, I guess a couple of their running backs. Michael Welch is dealing with a hamstring injury. He's expected to get a couple touches, but nothing.
He carried the ball once last week, and then they were kind of like, eh.
Yeah. Dallin Hayden too is dealing. He's a bit banged up, so Isaiah Augusto is going to be their number 1 running back for Saturday, and he's been good. When he has an open line and he has room to run, he can get there. He's kind of this big-bodied, more physical style running back. He's good outside. He's good in between the tackles. But it depends on how the Buffs run blocking looks that day. So if Buffs can get the run game going, it's going to be Isaiah Augusto on Saturday.
Augusto's a good back for them because when you throw the ball as well as they do, you just are trying to stay ahead of the sticks and, can we get to 2nd and 6? Can we get to 3rd and 3? He's not going to sit back and dance.
Yeah.
He just hits the hole, gets 4 or 5 yards. He played really well last week. I think that they like him moving forward for now.
Like a quick question. What are you guys like the most, I want to say, pass happy team in the conference, you would think? And this is a kind of 50-50. There's a lot of teams that like to run. Where you guys, I think you guys got to be like the leaders on like run pass ratio, right? Am I
yeah, I think it's like a 70% split. I don't have the splits for the whole conference. Off the top of my head, I know Arizona likes to throw it a lot.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of running teams in the Big 12 though. ASU, Kansas State runs the ball a lot. UCF runs the ball a lot. I know you guys run the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Texas Tech likes to run the ball.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're probably, if not the most pass happy, I'm sure.
They got to be top 2, I would think, right?
Yeah.
Gotta be. I didn't check that. That's my bad. I should have checked that before the pod, just because. But
it is like it kind of pops off the page. I mean, it's like even sometimes too, we'll be sitting in the press box, and it's like even against Baylor, it's like, why aren't you running the ball? Even though their run game has been deficient, and they were advancing the ball primarily through just passing it, and they just had to like run out the clock. And there's been times where it's like you have to run the ball here, but they just pass it.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a weird thing where, and this was the thing last year too, even before Shermer took over calling the plays about mid-season last year. If they are down right away in a game, like if you get them down even 7-0 or 10-0 or 14-7 in the first, even if it's the second quarter, they will sometimes just stop running the ball. And it'll be like, we're losing, we got to throw the ball. And it's like, well, there's 40 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
if they stay ahead, if they stay like against Arizona, they ran the ball pretty well. UCF, they ran the ball really well. All those games where they're winning early on, they
Yeah.
stick with it, and they've done pretty well with it. But as soon as they're playing against an offense that is kind of matching them, or is they're down by a touchdown, it's pass, 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 pass.
Okay. That makes sense. No, it makes sense. That's what I see when I watch them.
Yeah.
And I was like, just from afar, I know you guys are boots to the ground, so I just wanted to get you guys' opinion on that. And then switching to the defensive side of the ball, the Bearcats they have a very rounded offense. I mean, they can run the ball well, they can throw the ball well. Brendan Sorsby's been having a heck of a year. Probably. Can't think. I mean, Shador is number one, I would say, but I would say you can argue that Sorsby is probably number two in the conference right now. It's probably one of the people that might, argue that, but he's definitely top five no matter what, however you slice it. And where I got long-winded on this, how do you feel like you guys like to run a lot of man? How do you think you're going to attack this Cincinnati offense if you were the defensive coordinator? And you guys, I think, lead the conference in sacks, right? The Bearcats have probably one of the better offensive lines in the Big 12, maybe in the nation. How do you feel like you guys are going to be able to attack that offensive line to be able to get pressure on Sorsby?
I think it's been a positive note seeing the way that the depth of the pass rushers have really stepped up, and there's a lot of different guys that are being rotated in and different looks, and allows guys to be fresh. As Troy mentioned, BJ Green, who is a transfer from ASU, and he kind of ran their defense last year, has really stepped up this year. He was in like the Big 12 preseason defensive team, and
Right.
at the beginning of the season there was just kind of some lull there, but now he's really stepped into this role where you kind of have to game plan around him, because he's really good at coming around and blowing up the backfield too. And Samuel Okunlola, also a Pitt transfer. They're just multiple guys on the edge that are able to get to the quarterback. I think we've seen too Shane Cokes. He's been on the interior of the defense. Sometimes he has some plays, but the defensive front has shown that they're able to apply pressure. But this will be another interesting matchup in the trenches where UC could potentially might have the upper hand here, because I've watched their offensive line too. I mean, Sorsby's only had 4 sacks this season, and he's able to run the ball. Like Colorado's been really struggling with containing the quarterback and letting them get out and run. Noah Fafita had a couple of them, but throughout last week they were able to contain him a little bit better. But Avery Johnson was able to run. Baylor's quarterback was able to run. So if they have an opening and the quarterback's able to run, then they're going to get it. I think the big thing here, and it is hard to get, is takeaways, especially if Travis Hunter is healthy. He just has such a keen eye for the ball, and most of the times teams don't really throw to him because he is so prone to intercepting the ball. But those those guys back there, well, Preston Hodge, Cam, and DJ McKinney, they've also been so effective for Colorado this year. And if Colorado's able to get some takeaways there, of course they'll have the advantage. I don't know how easily they'll get those, because Sorsby been really clean this year, is from what I've seen. So, I mean, I can just say apply pressure here, but you're going to see a lot of man with a couple of changes in those coverages.
Yeah, Robert Livingston, first year ever calling plays as the defensive coordinator. He's kind of varying it up a little bit more and doing some more unique stuff as the season's gone along. Beginning of the year, it was a lot of cover one. Pretty much, I mean, more than half the time it was just cover one, press man, corners are on an island. The last couple of weeks, he's varying it up. They run a lot more cover two now. They still run more man than just about anyone you'll see, but it's like maybe 40 to 50% now. Eyeballing it, I don't have the exact number on that. They did some cover 3 stuff against Arizona, but that was a lot against Arizona. Runs a lot of bunches, a lot of tight formations. So that's how they did a lot of that. And a lot of the more zone heavy stuff last week also could have been because Travis Hunter's out, one of your best corners. protecting a big lead also. So I'd expect to see a lot of man this week. Nikki mentioned it. That's one of the things that comes with playing with man coverage is the scrambling. Avery Johnson scrambled all over the place. Noah Fafita scrambled all over the place. Cam Miller from North Dakota State scrambled all over the place. And I know Brennan Sorsby, he can move, especially in the red zone. They like to run him a lot. So that'll be a big problem. But the biggest thing for CU is that cover one heavy scheme, they can put a safety in the box, and they've been really good against the run with it. I know Cincinnati runs the ball really well. They do a lot of pistol stuff, but when CU is able to put usually Cam Silman Craig as the extra body down into the box, they've been really good against the run. The linebackers are super physical. Nakai Hill-Green and Levante Bentley are the most physical linebacker duo that I've watched this year. They fly downhill. And they bring the fight to the offense. Some teams have. Kansas State did a really good job kind of using that against them with some misdirection stuff. They ran the ball really, really well. So I'm curious to see how Cincinnati's going to attack them. But I would expect CU to go back to a lot of that single high stuff. Try to stop the run. And I think that as long as Travis Hunter's back and he's a full go, I think that they really trust their guys on the outside in man coverage.
You guys answered that question like so well. Like I literally had 2 follow-up questions I was going to ask you guys off of that first question, and you answered the first one, Nikki, about the secondary, and then you went into the linebackers, Troy, like automatically. Like, hey, I appreciate that. That was
Troy's the X's and O's guy. I'm more of like the vibes girl.
All good. No, I'm not mad at it because I was like, I had 2 follow-up questions. I was like, dang, they knocked it out. Like, I almost like interrupted you, like just to be like, dang, you read my mind. But that's just how it goes. But no, that's legit, man.
This is gonna be a good game. I'm excited.
I'm super excited. It went from a game that I was excited for before the season to like after that Pitt game, I was like, ugh, it's gonna get a little ugly. And then now I'm like, hey, this is a real. I think it's a coin flip game personally. Who plays the cleanest, who can protect the quarterback. It can be a shootout. I mean, I definitely don't see it being a 20-17 scoring game. Just don't see that. But no, I mean, it could be, I see it at worst, it'll be high 20s, low 30s. And then it's one of those games that can be like mid 40s and up.
CU's played 5 8-15 kicks at Folsom since Dion got here last year. 3 of them have gone to overtime. Okay. 2 of them, I think, have gone to double overtime. And then the Kansas State game this year didn't go to overtime, but it came down to like the last play of the game.
Okay. So
there's only been one game that wasn't decided before like the last play of the game.
So you're telling us to
stay up late.
So you're telling us that I can't take a nap.
It's going to be a late night.
People that are UC fans need to drink alcoholic beverages, whatever, tea, coffee. I'll have to be up because it's going to be one of those.
It's going to be a late night out there.
Yeah, we don't get done until like 2:30 usually Mountain Time. So.
Oh shoot! Yeah.
We're just sitting in the press conference, like, especially after the Stanford game when they blew that 29-point lead at the half. Ooh, that was a crazy game.
That was crazy. I know some friends that were like that lost some big coins, and it was like that day. It was like, look, man, I got like this. I'm like, oh man. He's like, should I cash out? I'm like, hey, I'm about 21. I'm like, everything looks good. We laughed. We went out to go have some good time. We checked, have a couple drinks. Look, he's like, dude, game that got tight. I'm like, uh-oh. I'm going to tell you. I was like, I'm sorry, man, because I wouldn't have cashed out. But so yeah, that's my Stanford story for that. So are you guys both going to be in attendance on Saturday?
Yes.
Yep.
That's what's up. So I had planned, my photographer will be there, Brandon Wesson. So if you see him, say what's up. And Caleb Brewer should be there. He's like an intern with me. I was planning on going, but I procrastinated on getting my ticket. So after I saw the ticket prices, I was like, I'm cheap. So
it's tough last minute out here. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I wanted the experience, but I didn't want to spend the paper. So
yeah,
y'all can judge me. It's all good. But,
I get it. I've been traveling a lot more this season, and sometimes like the Nebraska game,
Yeah,
that was so expensive.
I believe it. I
But
believe it. Trust me, I understand. It's like, nah, I'm just gonna hold on to that. But so hopefully next year, hopefully people keep subscribing, so then I can, start traveling a little bit more, right? Right.
There we go.
Our
yeah.
rivals fam, subscribe to their network as well, but subscribe to the Front Office News. So let's see. We're gonna make predictions, man. I'm gonna let you both make prediction. Then after that, we'll kind of let everybody know where they can check your workout.
As you mentioned, JTE, I anticipate maybe high scoring game. I've kind of been shooting in the 30s, and that's sometimes where the Buffs have been landing this year. So
Okay.
I'm going to say that the Buffs are going to win because I've been calling them to win this whole season. But of course, sometimes I haven't been right. But I'll say Colorado 31, UC 27.
All right, Troy, go for it. You got it. You gotta go on. You gotta get on. I guess on wax. So it ain't got. Don't make.
Troy's more honest,
on
and
pod.
he's usually been right this season.
All right, so call it upset then. Call it upset.
I'm picking CU too. Nikki actually almost picked my same score. I think it's going to be close. I think that Cincinnati will be able to run the ball. I think that CU's kind of struggled with more straight downhill at you running games, kind of like Cincinnati has. They've done better against kind of the option, wide running like UCF kind of does. So I think that Cincinnati will be able to run the ball. Brandon Sorsby's been playing well. He's been protecting the football. That's another thing that Shador's been doing really well is protecting the ball for the most part. I think this will be a really good game, really well-played game. And I'm going to go with CU 34, Cincinnati 30.
Okay. That's fair. I cannot knock the scores. Like normally, if it's like real bad, then I can like try to.
You're like, hey,
man. I can't. I'm gonna be the nice guy because that's not honestly. I feel like it's gonna be a tight game. I already sent you what I said earlier, and it wasn't a blowout. So definitely understand. So all right, let all the listeners know where they can find you on social media, where they can check out you guys' work. So if they want to like haggle you, they want to, be happy, whatever, just let them know where they can, critique whatever they want to do. Let them know where they can find you at.
Nikki Everins, spelled as it's written, but with 2 additional S's at the end. All my platforms, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Instagram's more like my personal stuff, but sometimes I post, Colorado stuff on my Instagram, whatever. Those are where you can find me. And then Troy and I both report for the Colorado Rivals site, CU Sports Report. Follow CU Sports Report for all of our coverage. We both work very hard to keep up to date with everything and manage our lives and manage a really quality site that we're both very proud to write for.
Yeah, CU Sports Report. My Twitter is just my name. My YouTube is also just my name. But yeah, CU Sports Report. Follow, subscribe.
Bet. So all right, so I'm gonna make sure I subscribe to you guys' YouTube like literally today. So you guys will have one more subscriber.
I'll subscribe to your
YouTube. Hopefully you guys return the favor. We're trying to
We'll
close to 500. Slowly trying to get to that 1,000.
Yeah, we'll definitely shout you out too in our podcasts. We're about to do that right now.
Oh, bet. Okay. Bet. Yeah, let me know. Yeah, I'll share whatever y'all need me to do. So
cool.
I appreciate you guys taking your time out. People that listen to the TFON podcast, I'm JT Smith, and I'm signing out.